Major support for Do the Math has been provided by Chevron, the Kern County Superintendent of Schools, Edison International, Valley Strong Credit Union, California Resources Corporation, Panama Buena Vista Union School District, and Kern High School District, with additional production assistance provided by these supporters of education in Kern County and throughout the state of California.
Well, good afternoon and welcome to Do the Math. I'm Michael.
And I'm Scott.
And in studio with us we have Jayce, and if somebody needed to contact us, what would they need to do?
For math homework help, call in Bakersfield 636-4357. Everywhere else, 1-866-636-6284. Email dothemath@curran.org. We're online at dothemathonline.net and on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube.
All right, nicely done. So, young man, where do you go to school?
Stockdale Elementary,
And what grade are you in?
4th grade.
You like going to school longer in the day now? Because you go to school longer now, right?
Yeah.
Do you like that? That's good. It's an honest answer, right? You're at least getting used to it now, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Is there anything that you really like about 4th grade?
No, not really.
Any topics you've been doing in class, any research, any projects you've done that you're like, yeah, that was pretty cool in 4th grade that you've done so far? I know that you guys recently had a science fair.
Yeah.
Did you do a science fair project?
No.
Okay. I know Oral Language Festival is coming up. Are you going to be doing one of those pieces?
No.
All right. I know that there is, so before I start rattling off all these things, is there anything that you do at school other than just go to school? Like student government, special
Not
class
really.
of any type?
Oh, gate.
Oh, okay. So there is something that you do that's extra, right? So what exactly is that? Like, what do you do?
We do extra stuff that we wouldn't normally be able to do in the classroom.
And that must be pretty fun, right? How often do you do that?
Once a week.
Once a week. All right, so that's an opportunity for you to do something and learn some different things that you wouldn't normally do in the regular classroom, right? All right. Have you ever done anything in 4th grade, whether it's your regular class or other class, with the Pythagorean theorem? Have you ever heard of that, or Pythagoras?
No.
No. All right. Well, it's a big day for you, son, because we're going to take a look at today's problem of the day. And this is what gets posted on our social media. So remember when you said all that social media stuff, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube? This is where some of this stuff goes at, and it's the problem of the day. A lot of people answer this, and most of them do get these correct, but every once in a while they throw a little ringer in there. So what shape is that? Because I think you were talking to me, you're doing a little geometry homework this week also, right? So what shape is that up
A
there?
triangle.
Okay, do you know what type of triangle that is? Because there are different types.
A right triangle.
Excellent, it is a right triangle. And how do you know that?
Because it has a 90-degree angle.
It has a 90-degree angle, okay? And it doesn't have the little box in there that usually tells you, and you know that it's a 90-degree angle, but that certainly does look like a 90-degree angle, okay? So it says the Pythagorean theorem, and it has x, and on each of the legs, the two sides that are labeled, it says 9 inches. So what the Pythagorean theorem says is a squared plus b squared, which is the 2 9s, equals c squared, the hypotenuse, the unknown letter. So 9 squared, do you know what 9 squared even means?
Basically just times 4.
Almost. So it's 9 times itself.
Oh, yeah.
So what's 9 times 9?
81.
Good. So we know one side is 81 if we square it, and the other side would be the same, wouldn't it? So can you mentally in your head figure out 81 plus 81?
162.
162. So now we're going to need to take the square root of that to figure out what x is. Now, square root means you're going to find a number like 9, where you go 9 times 9, you get 81. Like, what's 5 squared, do you think?
25.
Perfect. What's 3 squared?
9.
So you understand how to square numbers now. So if we want the square root of a number, we have to go backwards, let's say. So we have to think of 2 numbers that are going to multiply to give us the bigger number. Now, you said it equaled out to be 162. Are there any 2 numbers you can think of that would multiply to come out to exactly 162? You know what 12 times 12 is?
144.
Excellent. Do you know what 13 squared is? 13 times 13? You want a hint? 169. All right. So we know that 144 and 169, the number you said, 162, is between that. So it's between 12 and 13. So looking at the options that are up there, do we have any numbers, A, B, C, or D, that are between 12 and 13?
Yes.
Which one?
D.
D, 12.73 inches. And that is what 162, the square root of it is 12.73 when you round it to the nearest hundredth. And that is today's problem of the day. There we go, D. See that? They verified it, so you did get it correct. Nice problem, dude. First one done. 1 for 1, right? Feeling pretty good? Mm-hmm. All right. That was our social media problem of the day. And also on social media today, we found a couple of weather photos, and we can take a look at these right now. And do you know anything that's been going on with the weather recently here in California?
It's been cold.
It's been cold. What else has it been doing a lot of lately? Maybe not
Raining.
the last couple of days, but it has been raining quite a bit, hasn't it? Okay. So let's take a look at those once again, and they are referencing a bit of the precipitation for the next coming week that we can see the graphic on the left, and then talking about snow water content with the graphic on the right. And that leads us to today's Math in the News. All right, today's Math in the News. Well, we are fortunate enough to have somebody actually in studio with us again. We can't thank you enough for coming in. This is Jenny from the Water Association of Kern County, and you are the executive director.
Correct.
So how long have you been with the agency, and what are kind of your responsibilities or roles as executive director?
I've been with Water Association for a little over 2 years, and I'm responsible for outreach education on water issues.
Okay, so if Jayce in 4th grade had some questions and they wanted to do a little bit of research in their classroom, they would be able to contact you and you would be able to get some resources for them.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. Well, it has been raining a lot.
Yes.
Okay. And I know that a lot of times we are watching the news and they go, oh, well, it's 300% of the rain that we're supposed to have or something like that. Or we're looking at the snowpack and the snow depth, and yesterday we were talking about snowfall versus snow depth, which then eventually becomes all of the water that we need in California. And I know a lot of students are figuring, all right, well, if we have 200% of the water that we normally have at this time, we should be nowhere near a drought if 100% is all we need and we have double that. So I kind of want us to talk a little bit about that today,
Yes.
where even though something says, well, we're 200% above something, it doesn't mean we're in the clear yet.
Correct. Gets
All
kind
right.
of tricky.
So let's, an acre foot of water. So
Yes.
we'll just go ahead and have you kind
Yep.
of
So
go
we're
through these
getting to
slides
the
with us.
basics first. With water, it's important to know what an acre foot is. So that's generally how water is measured if you are out and you hear people talk about water. So an acre foot of water is pretty much an acre filled with 1 foot of water. So it's easier to think about a football field as an equivalent of an acre. So that's what we generally is a good visual to look at. And an acre foot is also water's equivalent to 325,000-ish gallons. But an acre foot of water is also enough to support 2 to 3 homes for a year of water. And about Central Valley farmland uses about 3 to 4 acre feet of water for an acre to grow produce.
Okay,
those
so
are
I
some
know a lot of
equivalents.
students can visualize
Yes.
a football field.
Yep.
And then just put a foot of water
Yep.
on that field That's an acre foot of water.
Absolutely.
And that will support a couple of households
Yeah.
for a year.
For a whole year.
That seems like not enough water. Because I'm thinking, all right, so we have a foot of water, and just thinking about the amount of water that gets used all of the time. All right, it baffles me that
Yeah.
that's how much it is. So
Yes.
anyway, let's keep going.
Yes.
Now, that's including water in the house and outside of the house as far as
Yes.
sprinklers and stuff go, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Absolutely. So how much water we use is an important question to also answer. So like let's use watermelons for
So
example.
hold on, we're going to have Jayce check this out,
Oh,
all right?
a little
So in
quiz-
order to grow
quiz time.
one watermelon, how much water do you think it needs? Because you have to water the crop. How much water do you think is needed to grow a watermelon?
Gallons.
2 gallons.
2 gallons.
It actually takes 100 gallons of water to grow one watermelon. And then about 300 gallons for one pizza.
You like pizza? So does the old man. I dig that pizza, man. That stuff's good.
So you also consider an average home uses about 200 gallons of water a day, just for an average home. Watering our lawn, right? That's an easy one we do. Uses about 44,000 gallons of water for a year.
Okay, and that's why I wanted to bring this up, because I know that there is a big thing in California about people stopping or
Watering.
lowering the amount of water that is being used on their lawns.
Yes, absolutely.
And it's got to be almost 2 years. I dug up all our sod in the front, drought-tolerant plants,
for
and I'll tell
you.
you, it's a beautiful thing, because moving out here from New York, you know it's a pain? Sprinklers. Because there are no sprinklers back east. So anyway, so I'm
Yes.
saving 44,000 gallons of water a
A
year.
year. Yes, you are.
All right.
Good for you.
I didn't know that, but I knew I was saving water, but not that much.
So also a 10-minute shower uses about 20 gallons of water. So think of that when you're in the shower. Hurry
And
up,
try to
don't
always
waste water.
Go a little quicker if you
Yes,
can also,
we
right?
recommend 5-minute showers at the Water Association. And then if just by turning off the water while you're brushing your teeth or shaving your face can save 10 gallons of water per day.
And
just
that
by
I
turning
think
it
is
off.
something, because we've gotten in the habit of doing that, right? Because we were like, oh, we need to do this, just automatically just
Leave it
rinse
on.
the brush, turn it off. Brush your teeth, and then the same thing. Same thing, shaving, like
Yep,
you said.
absolutely.
Even washing your hands, get them all lathered up, but then turn it off while you're lathering up and all that stuff.
Yep.
Those little things like that,
They all add up.
right, will save the 10 gallons a day.
Yep. So where does our water come from here in Kern County? That is a hard question to answer. We have 5 different sources of water in Kern County. So we get it from the Kern River, which we all know comes from Lake Isabella.
Okay.
We have the State Water Project, which is the aqueduct that comes on the western side of Kern County. So the blue areas of Kern County come from the aqueduct. Then we have the Federal Water Project, which is the Central Valley Project, which is the canals that run on the east side of Kern County. And we have local streams like Pozo Creek, the streams that run in the mountains to irrigate the rangeland and so forth. And then groundwater is a big chunk of our water in Kern County. That comes from our wells, from conservation projects. We have banking projects and ponds that we have to store water.
So when it was raining a lot, obviously some of these things are going to get full quick
Yeah.
and then overflow. So a lot of rain isn't really good,
A lot of rain at one time
Right,
is not
okay.
very good. Yes.
because
yes.
then it's not going exactly where you need it.
Yep, absolutely. So you talked about snowpack. So this is a really busy graph to represent our snowpack and how much we really get. This is basically measuring snow water equivalency. So how much of that snow is going to be converted into water? So snowpack is generally, it's like a natural reservoir, right? So it is going to melt throughout the year and give us that water during the driest part of the year in the summer. So our snowpack surveys are measured from January to April, and they measure different things. So in these graphs, they're talking about snow, water, elevations, how much snow we have at what elevations. They're measuring snow cover. So how high is that snow covering the ground, like
Okay.
height. They're measuring soil conditions. So how much Does that snow melt into the ground?
Being saturated in.
Yes, absolutely. They're measuring river models, so how many rivers are collecting water off that. And they're measuring reservoirs, so how many reservoirs are those streams measuring into. So that all comes in basis of snowpack and how they get those measurements.
And we can see that just last year we were at the 35%,
Yeah.
right? But with everything happening now, that will shoot up.
Yes, yes. So it's important to know those snowpack ones, they pretty much put a probe in, if you've seen those snowpack surveys, they pretty much put a probe into the snow, measure how deep it goes, and all of those elements we just talked about is how they get those numbers.
All right.
So precipitation, right? So we talked about, we not just measure our snowpack, we have to know our precipitation. So we belong to the Kern, we belong to the Tulare Basin, and we have the Kern sub-basin is how we measure precipitation, how the state measures it. So this is looking at our averages throughout the years, our wet years, our dry years. There on the bottom is pretty much where we've been in the Tulare Basin for our annual precipitations on averages. But here in Kern County, our average is about 6 inches of water a year. It's how much rainfall that we get. But it's important to know that we're not just measuring, the precipitation is where most of our precipitation comes from in California is in the north, right? So in the south is where most of our people live. So that's why we have those aqueducts and canals that bring water down.
A lot of stuff comes from the north, including pollution, right? Yeah, right. I mean, I'm not joking, but I mean, like, our area that we live in is a funnel
yes, it sure is.
for that air to come down and settle here also.
Absolutely, absolutely.
All right, let's keep talking about water.
Yes, so you talked about percentages, right? So that's what this hydraulic update is. They've been giving us, so Bakersfield is what they say, 138% of our average rainfall to date. So it's important to know that to date number. So it's not average for the year. We're still at about 80-ish% of our average rainfall for the year.
And this goes until April, right?
Yes.
Is that what you said?
So most of our rain year, right, we're pretty much done with. If you think about historically, when do we get all of our rain? Well, we don't get very much rain from now on for the rest of the year. So that 80% is our average for the year where we are right now.
Okay.
So this is a little thing about our reservoirs, right? So we get a lot of our snowpack. What happens to that snow when it melts? Where does it go? Into our reservoirs. And that is what slowly comes down and comes to us. So this is also, they've been talking about this a lot in the news, is, well, our reservoirs are high, they're getting full. Well, they're historically at about average right now. They're still not full. They have a long ways to go. And that's because we want that snow to melt throughout the year.
Right.
And we have space in those reservoirs.
It just seems like now it's
Yes.
looking low. Yeah, we've got a lot, but.
So another factor to consider is, what does the environment use of our water? So we have about 100,000 of our acre feet a day gets outflowed through the delta. And that water is to protect the salinity levels in the delta. The delta is historically a very salinity high area. We also have streams that we have to protect, fishery that require certain temperatures throughout the year, and those temperatures are monitored and protected via these outflows. So about 10 million acre feet a year gets outflowed through the delta. So where do we stand?
Kern. Yeah,
Yep,
I was
where
going to
do we
say,
stand?
after all of this rain, we're
yes.
still drought.
All those factors we talked about, right? Our snowpack, our precipitation, our storage, where do we stand? Well, we are still pretty much in a moderate to drought level here in Kern County. You can see a lot of that is in our normal areas throughout the state, but where we are in our valley portion of Kern County, we're still on about a moderate drought monitors. And what signifies that? How do they get these calculations? Why do they think, how do they consider us in a drought or not in a drought? Well, there's a number of things. They look at those precipitation models that we looked at. They also look at our groundwater levels and how that water is being stored in the ground. Or are we replenishing, or is the puddles just drying up, and then at the end of the day we still have pretty dry dirt underneath it, which is pretty much most of our areas here. They also look at our snowpack levels to consider if we're still in a drought or not. Our river flows, how much of that snowpack is melting. And then, of course, our well conditions on our groundwater wells here, and how they are. Are they depleting? Are they are they doing better?
Well, at least we got out of this red area
Yes,
for right now.
yes,
right?
and very little of the state is still in that red. We're mostly in the moderate or normal situation right now.
All right. Well, we certainly do appreciate you coming and spending a little bit of time with us here at
Mm-hmm.
Do the Math. With all of the rain, we are expecting some super blooms this year also. So I think we've got some photos right here of some super blooms in the past where wildflowers will be plentiful and rather abundant this year. And poppies, big thing, state flower, if I'm not mistaken, with California, right? And a lot of people will be going out, and that's the thing, is they'll be out, and a lot of people will be going out looking at these to make sure that they're doing it in a respectful way. Because sometimes you've got people going areas where they shouldn't and stuff like that. But anyway, we certainly do look forward to the super blooms. Jenny, a pleasure meeting you. Thank you for coming down and taking a little bit of time with us, talking about all of this water and rain and how it actually does affect the numbers that people are looking at and what they really mean with everything going on.
Yep, thanks
All
for
right.
having me.
636-4357 is the phone number. We do have phone tutors available most Tuesdays and Wednesdays throughout the school year until 5:30 in the afternoon. Right now, we're going to go check out with Cece and see what's going on with the carpet world.
So back in the day, it came in orange and green, and shag was a big thing. What am I talking about? I'm not talking about hair, I am talking about carpet. We are here at Carpet Outlet Plus. We're here with Jennifer, and we are going to talk a lot about not only carpet, but there's a plus attached to that. Tell me about that.
So we started out with selling carpet and a few other things like linoleum, back in the day is what it was known as. That's actually the technical name for it, and vinyl. We got into some laminates and got into hardwoods. Now the new biggest thing is luxury vinyl plank. So it's a waterproof vinyl plank that people are putting in homes because of our pets. A lot of us have dogs and cats and kids, and so we have to worry about the wet, moisture issues, dirty paws, dirty feet, things like that. So it's a little easier to upkeep, and then we still have our good old-fashioned carpet for bedrooms and things like that if they desire.
Very good. Okay, so the showroom is extensive. It's very exciting to look around and see all of the different products that you have. So let's maybe wander just a little bit and see some stone and some tile around all in this area. What is kind of some of the biggest selling right now? And tell me why.
So some of the biggest selling products that we have would be the what you see on the floor here. So when you walk in our showroom, you're going to walk in on luxury vinyl plank. So that's, the biggest portion, I would say, of our business. As we go this direction, we go out into this big warehouse, which is full of carpeting, and that's a whole nother section of our store.
Okay, so I know obviously that you don't just come in with plank and just throw it down on the floor. There's a lot that goes into this. Why don't you tell us about it?
We measure the areas. I personally draw a diagram, so I use a tool which is called a laser.
Okay, so let's go ahead and we're going to go look at how you do your measurements, right? You're going to show us around?
Yeah.
Awesome,
I'll
great.
show you.
So you were talking to us about how to measure a room, so we're going to have you go ahead and measure this space. That's a nice example.
So what I use is called a laser. So I used to use a tape measure back in the day, years ago. I've been doing this for over 25 years, so I'm pretty long-term at this. So I started using this, and it's a laser, so we just basically turn this little thing on, the little button here, and I'm gonna put it, because it starts to measure from the very back of the device, and I put it on a wall, and I aim that beam at another area, which would be this, say I want to put it at the wall over here. So once it's on that wall and you see the beam hit it, I push the button. It's going to then read how many feet that was and inches, and so that is 17 feet 6 inches from wall to wall. Okay. And then I'm gonna write that measurement down. I draw a diagram myself. Sure. Some people will just write, if it's one room, I'll just write the room down, but when it's a whole house, like I normally am doing, so I'm starting the beam again. It's very, very simple to use. 19 feet 9 inches. So this is the easy part of the math.
Okay, so my question is, does it already auto-calculate for you how long the tool itself is so that you're not having, okay, that's nice.
Yes.
So you're not having to add.
Yeah, because it'll start the measurement from back here, but there's a lot of different things on here, but it's worn off.
Okay.
There's actually other programs on here that work for cubic feet and cubic yards and concrete. There's all
Okay.
kinds of different things that this device will do, but it's very handy for us in our field, and so we just stick with feet and inches. That's all we need.
Very nice.
And then we convert it into square footage, and then that square footage converts into square yardage. So we have a couple different formulas that we have to go through to get to that.
Sure, of course, yes, because you're having to convert your linear to your square footage.
Correct.
Yeah,
Mhm,
okay, absolutely.
Every once in a while, you'll get people that'll tell you the square yardage wrong because they think that they're supposed to divide by 3, and to get a square square yard, there's 9 square feet in 1 square yard. 17 foot 6 inches
Yes.
times 19 feet 9 inches
Yes.
equals what that number is, divide that by 9, and that gives you how many square yards you need.
Right.
In carpet, it's a whole nother formula because we have to figure out, okay, just because it's 17 and a half by 19 foot 9 doesn't mean I can sell them exactly that square footage. We have to do a conversion based on the width of the roll. The roll is 12 foot wide most of the time, not all the time, but the most common is a 12 foot wide roll. So now I have to do more math because now that room's 17 and a half foot wide, but that roll is 12 foot wide of that 17 and a half. So I've got a mathematical formula into how to figure that, how much goes there.
Right, and we're going to see carpet next, I believe, in our next
Yes.
segment.
Mhm.
Awesome, fantastic. Well, thanks. We'll stick around and look at some carpet.
All right, thanks for that, Cece. We do have phone tutors available until 5:30 this afternoon. Jayce is a 4th grade student from Stockdale Elementary, and have you been at Stockdale for a long time?
Yeah,
Since kindergarten or since last year?
since kindergarten.
Since kindergarten, so you're pretty used to the place.
Yeah.
Well, guess what you're going to be doing in 5th grade a lot of?
What?
Fractions, decimals, and percents. You looking forward to that?
Yeah.
Yeah, I would kind of, okay, that's what we got to do. Well, that's kind of what you're starting right now. So let's take a look at some of the problems you're working on right now. So it says write the number as hundredths in fraction and decimal form. So you have the fraction 8 over 10. So why don't you guys head over to the board. So we have 8 over 10, and we need that as a decimal.
All right, Chase, what do you think, buddy? Want to write down 8 over 10 there?
Oh.
That's all right. We know it's a 1.
Oh, wait, no.
Good. All right, so 8 over 10, right?
What?
Oh,
Oh,
trying to get
keeps
your
on
hand on
getting-
there. That's all right.
There we go.
Good. Okay, so now we're going to do 8 over 10, and it says to write it in hundredths, right? In fraction and decimal form. So let's be clear about what's expected here. The first thing they want you to do is make this into a new fraction with 100 on the bottom, in hundredths, in other words. Do you know how to do that? Like, how would you change this fraction, 8 over 10, or 8/10, into a new fraction that's the same equivalent fraction, but now it has 100 on the bottom?
So since this is times 10
Good job.
equals 100, I have
Can
to
you write that
multiply
down
this
next to it
by-
then? Just kind of a little bit smaller, like just say times 10. That's all right, you can leave that out there, no biggie. So write down times 10 so we can kind of see what's happening in your head. I like how you said that. So really what's happening on the bottom is it's times 10. And so then what do you have to do? Good for you. Whatever you do to the bottom, you got to do the top. That's it. So your new fraction is 80 over 100, or 80 100ths, right? 80 hundredths. All right, so now we want to make this into a fraction. Or sorry, excuse me, a decimal. I'm going to put the decimal point right there. And the decimal has to be in hundredths as well. So I'm going to make this new decimal. What is the first decimal place, or the first place value after the decimal? You know what that's called?
Tenths.
Tenths. And then what's the next one?
Hundredths.
So we have to fill both of those spots, right? We got to fill both of them in order to have hundredths in our decimal. How are you going to do that?
I've just moved that there.
Okay, see what you got. That's it. So here's the advantage of taking this initial fraction that you had that was in tenths and changing it to hundredths first, is you can just take that top number and stick it right there, right? If you only had the 8 over 10, you have to put the 8 there and add a 0, which wouldn't be hard to do, but you have to make sure you understand what's going on there. So we have 80 hundredths, and in this case, 80 hundredths or 8/10 in a decimal as well. That's a good
Nicely
start.
done. First
Yep.
problem. Go ahead, clear the board. I've got another one all ready for you. We'll go to number
go ahead
9
and
on
do
his homework paper. And this one says, write the fraction or mixed number as a money amount and as a decimal in terms of dollars. So number 9 is 65/100ths. 65/100.
All right, can you write down 65/100 there? And we'll see what we can do with it. There you go. Good, so tell me what goes on in your mind if you look at this fraction, 65/100, and then you start to think about money. What are you thinking?
100.
100? What about 100?
100 cents equals $1.
Good job. That's a good way to look at it. I like it. So is this number, 65/100, is it bigger than 1 or is it smaller than 1?
Smaller.
It's smaller. So really what we're talking about is cents, right? So you could start off this problem by putting a 0 in front in the dollar spot, right? And then what?
You basically just bring the 65 over here.
Another advantage of having this fraction already in hundreds is you can just bring it right over there. That's it. And so 65 hundredths is the same as, what would you call this in money terms if it came up on the cash register? What would you call that?
65 cents.
That's it, yeah, 65 cents. What if you had to change that fraction to a percent? What would you do there? And here's the way I like to explain it to my students. I like that you already named this. Tell me what this is again in money?
65 cents.
65 cents.
Percent.
It's also 65%. So you can just write that over there in front of the percent sign. Right over there, no decimal or anything. Yep, just write down 65. So percent is the same as cents. They go really along with each other. The difference is you don't have to have a decimal in your percent. So they all kind of go together. There's a percent and a fraction and a decimal all together. Nice job.
You ready for another one?
Mm-hmm.
All
Always
right,
ready.
let's go to number 10.
Okay.
So we have 1 and 48 hundredths.
Got to make some money out of this. See what we can do. You want to write that problem down first? There's a big 1, a whole number 1. Yeah.
And then
Good.
48 hundredths.
Good. I like it. And we're going to make this into money. People seem to know their math when it comes to money, so that's always a good thing to start off with. All right, tell me how much money you have.
$1.48.
Now, how did you know you had a number that was on the left of the decimal? In other words, a dollar. Where did that come from? In the front. So if you have a big number in front, right, that's going to be the part to the left of the decimal, and the part that's the decimal is just the fraction part, right? Mm-hmm. So far, so good. Really easy. Nice job.
So how about we put that in percent?
Uh-oh. 1 and
So I know this wasn't
48.
part of his homework,
I
but
like
we might
it.
as well push him a little while he's here.
Sure. Okay, so we're going to make a new number, and we're going to make it into percent. What do you think? Now, do you have to have a decimal in there? Because
No.
in the money, right, remember the answer for the money was 1.48 or $1.48. This one has a decimal. You sure that one doesn't have to have a decimal?
Mm-hmm.
How do you know?
Because it's percentage.
How about this? How many cents is this? Total. It's $1.48,
148.
right? It's what?
148 cents.
148 cents. 148%, right? Has the same number, same word in there, so it's kind of nice to be able to do. So far, so good.
There you go. So that's just a little preview of what you're going to do in 5th grade, because you're going to do fractions, decimals, and percents all at the same time, but a little more complicated, but that way you've got a little bit of it right now. All right, you feeling good? Mm-hmm. Good. Well, for doing some great work so far today, you've got yourself a meal courtesy of our friends at the Broken Yoke Cafe, so congratulations on that. Have you ever been to Broken Yoke Cafe?
I don't think so.
Well, good. Well, it'll be a special treat for you. They've got some outstanding breakfast over there. That's the only meal I've had there is breakfast, so I'm sure they have other things too, but breakfast is what they're known for. Hey, we do have phone tutors available until 5:30, but right now we're going to go back out to Carpet Outlet Plus, check in with Cece, and see what's going on.
Okay, so now that we've finished measuring the room, and I know that this is not obviously that room, but this is what an entire house might look like right here.
That
Is
a
this
flooring
entire,
diagram.
okay, so this is, and you said that this was flooring. This was all flooring, this particular diagram.
That particular one's for, I measured it all for luxury vinyl planks, so it's
Okay.
all a square footage type of deal, but you can convert that any way you want.
Sure.
If the people said, hey, I don't want vinyl plank in my son's room anymore, he wants carpet, because
Okay.
he wants to be more comfortable. He likes to lay on the floor. Easy, I can just take that measurement and
Sure.
take that conversion and change it into carpet.
And come on out
And then
here to carpet, yeah.
And then I figure, okay, we got lots of carpet to choose from. I mean, we got over 500 rolls out here. This is where the carpet rolls, they're 12 foot wide I was talking about.
Uh-huh.
And then so if I've got that big 17.5 foot area, I've got 1.5 of these almost that I need to cover by the length of the room.
Right, so that's where a lot of cutting comes in. We start doing a lot of cutting, and of course you want to measure twice, cut once. I know that rule,
yes,
right?
Yes,
Yeah,
we've
measure-
learned that a long time ago.
You've been doing that for, what'd you say, 25 years?
Yeah,
Awesome.
personally, yeah.
Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and see.
This is Jeff Hughes, he's our sales manager, and he is really good at the other parts of math.
The other parts
Fantastic.
of math. I feel like I'm being set up.
All right, so-
Okay, the other parts of math are.
This is the new math. This is new
Okay.
math right here. No, just kidding. All right, nice to meet you. We're going to talk about carpet. Walk us through the process with cutting the carpet, getting it prepped, ready to go.
Sure. So we come out, we find something for a customer, pick this roll up or use one out of the back, take it to a cutting machine that we have in the back, and cut the linear footage to what we need because we've already converted it from square yards to linear footage in order for them to cut it on the machine. We sell it square yards, but we have to cut it linear foot. So the factors of 3, 9 come into play a lot when we're cutting carpet and installing carpet because of the fill pieces that you'll need in order to do the job, which we call overage. They have to understand that square foot converts to square yard. A lot of times people think square foot sounds cheaper because something that sounds that's $4 a square foot sounds a lot more inexpensive than something that is $36 a square yard. So, you know, but math is math. It always comes out the same.
Absolutely. I suppose advertising math maybe is a little different, but as far as
Sure.
installation, it's completely the same.
Correct.
Very good.
Absolutely correct.
All right. Are you going to show us the cutting tool? Were we going to see
Let's
that?
go
or-
see it.
Awesome.
Absolutely.
Okay. All right, so here we are out at the cutting machine, and you were explaining a whole lot of math a little bit ago. So let's go ahead and kind of talk back through that again.
Okay, so to simplify it is this way. So we come up, after we've measured someone's house, we have to come up with the square yards that it takes to do their house. By converting each room size, dividing it by the number 9, because 9 square feet is 1 square yard. That's a very important thing in the next part of this cutting process right here, and how we get square yards out of linear feet. So when we come out here on the machine and we've given Juan a number, 86 yards or 85 yards or 105 yards, and it takes 4 quarters to make a hole, 12 being a hole in this case because carpet is 12 foot wide. You would take 0.25, which is a quarter, and you would multiply that times the square yards, and that will convert it to your linear footage for you.
Got you.
So
Okay.
I hope that made sense. I'm not great at explaining it, but I think it worked.
That's okay.
So,
We'll
so
watch
now Juan is cutting, and he's going to convert this linear footage in from the square yards that he has for this work order right here.
Okay, so then right here it's showing us, what is this showing us? This is showing us linear feet?
That's showing you linear feet.
All right.
And once he gets to his desired length, you'll see a very sharp razor come up and cut this carpet very cleanly.
Okay.
When we install carpet in a room that's bigger than 12 feet both ways, then we have to account for fill pieces.
Okay.
So the standard on a fill piece would be 3 pieces to make up the length of one of the lengths of a wall,
Okay.
and that'll be a 3-piece seam. So we would take the length of that room, divide it by 3, and make that cut in addition to the linear footage of the room that we have already.
So
Why?
we might get into that into our next segment, I
Okay.
think. So let's save that for the next
Perfect.
round.
You
Perfect.
bet.
Thanks so much.
All right, well, now we know what we'll be seeing in the next segment, so thanks a lot to Cece and everybody out of Carpet Outlet Plus right there. Jayce is a 4th grade student at Stockdale Elementary working on some fractions, decimals, and things like that. You ready to do some more? Mm-hmm. All right, back over to the board. Let's go. Ken's turtle competed in a 50 meter race. Long race there, huh? His turtle had traveled 49 hundredths meter when the winning turtle crossed the finish line. What is 49 hundredths written as a decimal. So before we even start this, Jayce, you are going to be taking a lot of standardized tests in your lifetime. Since you're only in 4th grade, you've got at least 8 years of these things to look forward to.
That's right.
A lot of times on word problems, students don't like them because they don't understand all of the word problem. When we look at this problem, what do we actually only need to know about that problem?
That it's a 50-meter race and that the turtle traveled 49
hundredths meters, right? And then if we just look at what the question is, what is 49 hundredths written as a decimal? Do we care about all that other stuff before that? No, all we have to do is look at the question and go, write 49 hundredths as a decimal. That's all it is, right? Makes sense?
You don't need to know if it's a turtle or a butterfly or a roadrunner or whatever it is, right? None of that even matters. It makes it a little more interesting to read. But that's a really good point. You don't need all the extra information. Really, you could take that whole problem and narrow it down to just the last question.
Right.
Yeah.
So go to it, boys.
All right. Where did that come from? That was really fast. That was what the fraction was, right? So when we're writing this down, we want to make sure we know exactly where it came from. This was the original fraction, and you just changed it. Do you have a quick way you do that in your head? Mm-hmm. How do you do it in your head?
If it's 100, I just take away that and add a 0 and then put the 49 in.
What if it said this instead? What if it said 49 over 10? What would you do now? Because these ones we've been doing have 100, and we were just talking. Makes it really easy. Could you stick it right there after the decimal, right? Can you make this into 100 on the bottom? Because that'd be nice for you, right? If you could make this into 100, boy, that'd be great, because then it would be pretty easy, like you said. So let's see if we can make this fraction into 100, and then it'd be pretty easy to do. Where'd that come from? Be nice if you could just add a 0, huh? What did you do the last time we did something like this and we wanted to make it into hundredths, right? 10 times what is 100?
10.
Good. So can you do that on the top as well? Good for you. So what's 49 times 10? 490. Good. So now you can make it into a decimal, right? We have a decimal right there. And we got to fill up these 2 spots. We only have 2 spots. But we might need to use another spot because we got 3 numbers, right?
So that would go there.
That's it.
And then those 2 would go there.
Okay, so I know that you're using all the numbers, but when you're changing this number into a decimal, you can't change the order of things. You got to keep them in the exact same order. So let's see if we can go back over here where you started, right? And we still have a decimal, and we still have 2 spots to fill, but we can't change the order in which things happen, right? We have to make sure that those 2 spots are filled, but you got to keep it in the same order. Can we add a spot up front here? Sure you can. Now put them in the same order. Oh, try again. Go from the very beginning. Got to keep them in the same order, right?
I think it like dragged it.
That's okay. Don't forget 490 though, right? We got to do 4, 9, and 0. If you start there, you're going to run out of room.
Oh yeah.
So we really are thinking a little bit about what's going to go on here. How are we going to fix this? We want 2 spots there, and we have 3 digits, but I gave you an extra spot there. Can you use that extra spot to put it in there? You're allowed to go to the left of the decimal. That's okay. So just put them in right in order, but we just happen to be using this spot as well. Start right here. Start right here with the 4. There you go. And they fit, right? So 4.90 or 4 and 90 hundredths, or really what we're talking about is 490 hundredths. That just happens to go in the whole numbers there. It's a little different way to look at it.
So let's stay on this for a minute since
Yeah.
he's just getting the taste of this.
I like it.
It's more than 100, isn't it? The 490, right? So you have more than one whole, right? Because 100 out of 100 would be 1, right? So if you have 400, you know you have 4 times as many. So that's where that 4 goes in front of the decimal. So let's take a look at the next problem and see if that gets us to where we want to go also.
I like it.
So it says Alex lived 8/10 of a mile from Sarah. So I guess you can write A somewhere just for Alex and
Okay.
S. And in between them it is 8/10. What is 8/10 written as a decimal?
So let's write it as a fraction first. Okay, can you write down 8/10 as a fraction? Good. There's your fraction. And it says we want to change it to what?
100.
We want to change it to a decimal
decimal.
first of all, right? Let's change it to a decimal. Okay. How do you want to change it to a decimal? We don't even need to make it into 100. It doesn't say that. It doesn't say hundreds. It just says change it to a decimal. So that part's kind of nice. What place value is the 8 in?
Tenths.
Tenths. And that's exactly what you told me earlier. And that's exactly what this is, 8/10. That's exactly what you wrote here. So there's not a whole lot to change as far as mathematically. You just got to know where things go. Okay, so I'm going to put this same question to you that we had in the last one, right?
Okay.
What if this didn't say 8/10? What if it said something a little bit different? What if it said, this would be interesting, what if it said 8/100? Now what does that decimal look like? Whoa, I like what you did there. Can you explain to me what you're thinking? Because this, I don't see this 0. There's no 0 in front of the 8. I don't see it there. Where did it come from?
So, you added another 0.
Mm-hmm.
So you just put the 0 there.
Gotcha. And one way to think about this is, right, we have that decimal, we have tenths, hundredths. We have to fill them, right? We have to fill those numbers, those spaces. You put the 8 here at the very end, which we always want to start at the end, and then going backwards, there's nothing there. So you put a 0 there. That's a good way to look at it. So this is 8/100. This is 8/100. Yeah, we're thinking. I like it.
Then when you get into 6th grade, you'll learn about significant digits, which
Right.
is why you need to make sure where the 8 goes, and you can
Really
put a
proud
bunch
of
of
you for
zeros
putting-
wherever else you
Yeah,
want.
really proud of you for putting that 0 there, because a lot of students will make that mistake even on into high school. They go, oh, 8, we'll just put an 8 right away, right when they first start. Well, that's not 8/100, that's 8/10, right? Big difference, especially when you're talking about money. Nice work.
All right, different type of problem for you boys now.
Okay.
The product, so you need to know what the word product means in mathematics. So the product of my digits is 10. I'm an even number. Who am I?
Whoa. Okay, what do you think? What does the word product mean?
The answer to a multiplication.
Good. So the answer to a multiplication problem. So we're looking for one number, right? And this is going to be a 2-digit number. And it says, let's say we have the number 12, right? It says the product of the 2 digits, so this would be 1 times 2 is, what does that problem say? The product of the digits is
10.
10. So is that true?
No.
Not true, right? So it can't be the number 12. But we do know that we still need to multiply 2 digits together, and we still need to have a 10. So we need to have 2 numbers there
I think I know.
that multiply to be 10. What numbers can you use? This isn't going to work. What else do you want to try? Write the number here, and then we'll put the digits in there. 52. Wow, okay. So tell me how you figured that one out. You got a 5 and a 2. 5 times 2 is 10. 52 would work. Are there any other numbers you could possibly figure out that would work in this situation?
25.
Let's go ahead and write down 25. You can keep that one there. Keep the 52 because it's definitely right. We know that one's right. Let's go ahead and do 25, right? That's a possibility as well. Nice erasing. Some exactness there. So either one of these looks like they'll work, and then we'll have to, at the very end, inspect the problem to see what works. 2 times 5 is 10. All right, let's go back and look at the problem to make sure. We have 2 possible answers, and of course, most math problems have 1 answer. We want to know which one works. What does this problem say again at the very end? The product of my digits is 10, and the next sentence is what? Can you read that sentence up there?
I'm an even number.
We have to make sure we follow that rule as well, right? So which one of these 2 is even? Good for you. So we did have 2 possible answers, but only one of them satisfied both requirements, which was the digits multiply to be 10, and it's even. So I'm glad we looked back at it. Otherwise, we just said, teacher, there's 2 answers. Not true. Nice job. I like how you figured that one out.
All right, let's keep rolling. Going back to his homework now. Elaine found the following in her pocket. How much money was in her pocket? So first thing you're going to need to do is be able to identify what those are.
A $1 bill.
Okay, write that down so we don't forget. A $1 bill. Good. We got $1. What else do you have? What is that up there?
Can you see that already? Do you want me to zoom in on it?
Just tell us out loud and make sure you can see it. So 25 cents, good. We have a quarter up there. What else do you have? What is that up there? That next coin, what's it called?
A dime.
A dime, good. And then what else at the very end?
A nickel.
A nickel, yeah. So how much is the nickel worth? Ah, so you've written 25 cents and 10 cents and 5 cents. And before we can do anything, I really want you to change these into decimals because we want to see what they are in decimal ways so we can add them up together, right? $0 and 5 cents. Great job putting the 0 there. Well done. Definitely $0 there. And 10 cents or 10 hundredths. $0 and 25 hundredths. Good job. Okay. Tell me how we would make this $1 into a decimal. And you made it into a decimal with hundreds in it too. Nice job. Okay, so how much money is it? We got to add it all together, right? So I'll put the $1 up here. And then we'll see if we can scroll down a little bit there for you. So you have $1 plus 25 plus 10 plus 5. Let's add it all together. Tell us what you're doing in your head so we can hear what's happening.
So 5 plus 5 is 10. So
Good.
you put the 0 there and
Yeah.
carry the 1.
Good for you.
The 1 plus the 2 is 3 plus that 1 there. That's 4.
Good.
And then the 1 goes down here. And then we put the decimal point there.
Gotcha. Anything else you got to add to that problem? We do have money, right? Ah, there you go. Good job. Now, does it make sense we had in the picture a dollar bill and some change? Is that what your answer looks like, a dollar bill and some change? It kind of works out okay, right? If you'd have ended up at the end of this problem and it said 1400, something like that, and like, hey, wait a minute, I didn't have $14. Maybe my decimal's in the wrong place. So it's always good to make sure it makes sense logically. The picture showed us a picture of a $1 bill in paper and some extra change. That's kind of what you ended up with at the very end, right? Nice work.
Not unless you had some kind of deal with somebody where you could increase things by 10.
That'd be
keep it
nice.
going. There it grows. So a thing called interest later on that he'll learn about right there. So get a chuckle out of that one, huh? We'll compound that interest also to make it even more interesting.
That'd be nice.
So I'm glad that you guys talked about adding the dollar sign there because if you just had 1.40, it could be 1.40 miles, 1.40 apples. We don't know what it's talking about until you put that dollar sign there, which is very important. All right, let's move on to the next one. So you are on a roll, so we're going to get a lot of your homework done right here. So 3 girls share 60 cents. Each girl gets the same amount. What do they get?
All right, so we have 60 cents, right? And there's our decimal. And one of them here, and one of them here, and one of them here. Now, before you write anything down, tell me how you would go about this problem and what are you thinking mathematically? How are you going to figure this out, how much each person gets?
So I'd change that into just like a regular 60.
Okay.
And then I would divide it by 3.
So this is a division problem.
Yes.
Because you need to be able to distribute the money amongst 3 different people, right?
And you guys have about 20 seconds to finish this up because it is a simple problem.
Uh-huh. So do you know 60 divided by 3? Can you do that in your head? That's it. Can you write down what they each get and make sure it's in money terms? Oh, 20 cents. There you go. Write this one with a decimal. Where's the decimal go if you're going to put it? If you put a dollar sign right here, where would the decimal go there? That's it. Good job. That's it. And one more? That's okay. You can leave that one at 20 cents. No big deal.
There you go. Nicely done. All right. Get a lot of your homework done right there. Hey, remember we do have phone tutors available until 5:30, but we do have one last opportunity to go visit with Cece, see what's happening on at Carpet Outlet Plus.
So we were talking about carpet, we got that cut, but now we're talking about installing. So we're out in another warehouse and we've got padding.
We have padding, so, well, if you buy carpets, you want to buy pad, and you want to buy good pad. If you'll notice, pad is sold 6 foot wide as opposed to 12 foot wide like carpet is. So you have to do the math on that as well. Double 6 You get 12, so really you're just doubling the amount of linear footage of pad in order to accommodate the linear footage of carpet and or square yards of carpet.
Okay.
Same concept.
I do have a quick question. I know that carpet has to be stretched.
Yes.
So does padding get stretched too, or it just is what it is?
Great question. Padding does not get stretched.
Okay.
Padding is within the boundaries of tack strip that has to go down in order to hold the carpet down. So it's actually glued down,
Okay.
and then the carpet goes over the tack strip and then under your baseboard,
So that
which I
measurement's
think
a
Jen's
little-
going to cover a little bit. in
Okay, so
baseboard.
that's a little bit different. But
It is.
let's head this direction then, and we'll see some of your harder surfaces, because we did talk about how that is measured differently. Tell us how we measure this and what we need to do with it.
Right, and so hard surface, and I think Jen's going to jump in here and start talking about hard surface as well, is measured. You go in and measure a room, and if it's a 14 by 14 room for carpet, it's still a 14 by 14 room for hard surface, but there's a different way in order to determine how much product you need in order to have a proper install. So I'm going to let Jen take you through that, and
All right.
hard surface
Thank you
for
so
Jen.
much. We
Thank
appreciate
you.
it.
You bet, guys.
Okay, go for
So
it.
I would just say, like, if we could show the
Sure,
diagram,
absolutely.
maybe,
Yeah, you
show
wanna
them.
do that again?
So, like, this is a house that I measured, and I come into somebody's house and I actually draw to the best of my ability. I'm not a professionally trained at this, but I taught myself this. This is basically a floor plan of somebody's home, so it's basically architectural style, just the floor plan itself. So you come in the entryway. Say that they have two kids. Say they got a boy and a girl. Let's just make an example. Coming down this hallway, here's bedroom number 2, we call it, because master bedroom is always bedroom 1 for me. So bedroom 2, and then I come down this hallway, and here's the girls' room, bedroom 3. Say that the mom and dad said, oh, we're going to put hard surface in here, we're going to do vinyl plank. And then they come back to me, a couple days later, they go, we changed our mind. We want to go ahead and put carpet in, Douglas's room because he likes to sit on the floor and, play his games or whatever. And we want to put carpet in, Allison's room, let's say, because Allison likes to sit on the floor and read her books or whatever the reason may be,
Sure,
or they
so
want it
you
warmer.
you could just
so I
change
can
that
easily
out.
take that conversion and take that square footage and convert that into square yardage and make that a carpet, measurement.
So the question I have though, so I know when you're laying flooring, you want to keep everything kind of going in the same direction. So is that hard to figure with something like this as far as like how many pieces you're going to need, or?
Carpet is directional, so carpet does have to run the same way, or else you have, something going this way versus something going this way, and it's grain against grain. So grain against grain will give you the optical illusion, let's say, of 2 different colors visually. So, and then on hard surface flooring, it's all connected, either by a tongue and groove locking system or a click system, or a tongue and groove without a lock system if it's, certain woods and things like that. But it's still a directional product, and it needs to just go one direction, or it would need to be broken up, and directions change and sometimes require
But
extra
does that change? That doesn't change any of the measurements.
It can, if you change dimensions on something, it definitely can change the square footage. It can cause you to use more waste, because we usually use a waste factor of, say, around 6 or 7% for a house, typically.
Well, I thank you so much.
Yeah,
we are
for
just
sure.
so grateful to have you, and
Thank you.
let us give you this as
thank
having us out here for Do the Math.
Thank
We're
you.
so
I
grateful.
appreciate that. I do.
And
Appreciate
we
that.
were talking about that earlier about your jingle. Everybody knows the jingle.
I think everybody knows our jingle.
Everybody knows
Even
the
little
jingle.
ones.
So yeah. So can you sing it with me?
I would rather not sing.
All right, we'll quit there.
I don't want to make everybody get scared and run away.
Right. Thank you so
You're
much.
welcome.
Have a great afternoon.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thanks for that, Cece. Also, thank you to everybody out of Carpetella Plus. Had a great time out there. Both times when I went out to visit him, and then when we sent Cece out there. How do you think, young man? How do you think you did today? Pretty well?
Yeah.
Did you have fun? That's the most important thing right there. Hey, we do have phone tutors available until 5:30 most Tuesdays and Wednesdays. Until we meet again, continue to do the math.
Major support for Do the Math has been provided by Chevron, the Kern County Superintendent of Schools, Edison International, Valley Strong Credit Union, California Resources Corporation, Panama Buena Vista Union School District, and Kern High School District. with additional production assistance provided by these supporters of education in Kern County and throughout the state of California.